Okay, well, let's see. Where can I start? I just talked for 2 minutes and my mic was muted. Um, so we were getting here towards the end of summer and saying that, it's still hot, but uh, you kind of wonder if it's going to break here at some point. But then I also mentioned that I kind of have this theory that the seasons have kind of like shifted a month later. And so your summer doesn't really start wrapping up until almost October, maybe even a week or two into October at this point, because it's rare to see any snow, or at least in my area, which I still think is relatively far to the north in the country, until after the year turns over into January. It's rare to get a December snow of any consequence. So, it seems like everything is, maybe it's the climate, the way that our sun cycles, things like that have happened. But this is Tenacious Earl, if I haven't mentioned it, and this is the Dugout, which is basically like a 4 by 9 foot little unfinished room where I do most of my tabletop gaming. I've rarely gone out and played against somebody. It's almost all been solo gaming, and I've made a lot of videos over the years, and I plan to continue making them. It's just this year's been a bit trying. I think I've mentioned it in previous videos. I've had some vision type issues which seem to have been figured out for the most part. Not just vision, but more like pain caused from like irritation. And I think a lot of the reason is that I wear contacts, and every year I go to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor's like, you do monthlies, so basically I wear a contact pair for a month and then throw them out. And you shouldn't sleep in contacts, right? And I typically don't at night. But each year she's been like, well, we have dailies now, and they're probably better for your eyes because, you're not storing them overnight. You're not touching them with hands that, you wash with soap and water. But, if I'm like most people, I probably do a half-assed job of it, right? So then you're taking that after maybe your hand still has a little bit of bacteria on it, and you're throwing it in solution in the same case over and over again for like 30 days. And not only that, in the process of that, you're probably like building up little proteins and different things on there that eventually, I think, for me, have caused irritation here, especially in the last year. And the other thing that I think has happened so up until about a year ago, I'd say my opportunities where I felt like I've just been sitting there watching something on TV, and I will all of a sudden realize 20 minutes went away and I've fallen asleep taking a nap. The last year it's gone up considerably, and I think early on in the year at some point I did that for a considerable length of time, and I may have damaged the surface of my eyeball, which then led to even more like discomfort. And I also have a situation where I have like eyelashes which irritate my eyes. The shape of my lower eyelid is a little funky, so those things en masse have all sort of like left me a good bit of the time wearing prescription eyeglasses, because when I tried to put the contacts in my eyes, they would just be very painful at times. Then I would go. What I've done with these eyelashes is a lot of times it'll be every night. A lot of times it'll be several times a day. I'll be with a small flashlight and these very fine tweezers, looking in a mirror, trying to just, because these things are just like filaments, they're just really tiny, but they grow in a way that they like prick the eyeball and they irritate further. So anyway, that's left me in a, because especially since the eyeglasses I have now, they're only 2 years old, but they still, and this whole process is kind of like had, I think it's had a little bit of a poor effect on my eyesight. So recently I went back to the eye doctor. This is a long story short. Well, it's already long, but went back and I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the daily wear. Let's see if this helps. And it's been several days now. And granted, I've been, right before I did this, I had gotten to the point where I think I had plucked just about every eyelash out, but that's down there. But they'll grow back. Anyway, but I have had like no discomfort since I went to the eye doctor. And this was midweek, which is like a really positive development for me, because the other thing about the daily wear is that typically the cost has been really rough, and it still kind of is, except for the fact they give you rebates and stuff, and I don't know. So it's, but for the health of my vision and stuff, it's going to be a no-brainer. But I already have a bunch of comments here, and apologies for forgetting to unmute my microphone. I actually unmuted it, and because I have probably another thing I'm going to end up complaining about at some point here, but I might as well get right into it. You know, the laptop that I have is now 4 or 5 years old, and for whatever reason, whatever processes that I've put on here for various reasons that run in the background, it's just slowed down. Maybe the program that I use right here for like doing, they call it an adapter, to take video from this camera and communicate it to YouTube, and also basically running that, and it's processing the data from the camera and all this stuff. It's just, everything is kind of like slowed down on this thing to the point where I clicked the button and it was like a slow response, so then I clicked it again, but I think what happened was it unmuted it after like 5 seconds and then remuted it a few seconds later, because I had delayed. It had delayed in, processing my, so it's just, that's another reason why the videos are often becoming tougher to put together. I really need to invest in a new one, probably, or probably a better option would just be to build like a small tower, but with a lot of processing power, so then I'm not like fumbling around with a laptop that's just kind of like sitting there churning, trying to handle the myriad things that I'm asking it to do. This is also including what I'm going to probably show you here in just a couple minutes. So, yeah, kind of low on the volume. Hopefully you've heard it enough. Now it's going to go up, and you'll probably be like, "Oh no!" Okay. See, so yeah, give me feedback if that's helped. I can turn it up more. I have another 5 or 6 clicks here on the, well, not that many, a few more clicks. Kevin, Larry, and Brandon have appraised me of the sound situation. It's the sound. The other thing is that I have my. It's maybe because I pushed my mic farther back, so the proximity is a little less. That may be why I had to. Tim is in here as well. So yeah, so that's like the first thing is when, like, I don't mind sitting here, and I don't know if you can see how these things are pretty dingy, but like these are the reading glasses. That's pretty much fine. These things are light. These things are, you can see they're just a little bit of refraction there to help my eyesight for the close-up stuff, and they work well. I think I've shown you glasses and other times. Those things are super heavy duty. My eyesight is bad, and that's even with what's called the high index material. So basically, it further refracts more. So I was visiting my parents recently. My mom's like, "You should get the high index. Those glasses are really thick." So I went and asked about it. They already were. You know, I think that Coca-Cola would go out of business if they had to have their Coke bottles as thick as my lenses would be if I wasn't using the high index. So, yeah, so what am I here to talk about other than just my health situation, which the health thing is okay now. But maybe to conclude what I was thinking about, or what I was talking about before, is like having these heavy glasses on and looking over a table and trying to, even then, because it's not, vision isn't perfect, and my eyes were like irritated at times. Having a fan going kind of irritated it a little bit because I didn't have, like, I'm with a thin piece of something covering each eye. I don't notice this nearly as much, this fan that I have running down here, but it's like, and it's a hot summer day. So anyway, my ability to come down here and do stuff on my tabletop was greatly diminished because it was not always easy for me to carry out. Like, it just would be a pain, literally, or just, it would take me a lot of extra time, like looking at the soccer cards, where it's like, I still don't have 20/20 vision, even with my prescription glasses and these clip-on readers that I have on top of them. I'm still not at the right, like, strength to be able to do what I need to do effectively. I'm still like squinting, trying to, like, because a lot of these these cards, they have different metrics you need to look at. Number of times a guy, or like the ranking of the way how much a guy is fouled or fouls others, or things like that. So that was having a huge impact on the time spent and ultimately the joy, right? I mean, it's like if you're getting frustrated doing something, then the only positive about down here is that I can have it darker if I want. And so when my eyes were at their worst, light sensitivity was a big deal too. Like driving to work, there were probably 10 or 15 days in the last 6 months where I was in misery having to drive to work, and I probably should have called out sick. I mean, I was literally, my eyes wanted to, all my eyelids wanted to like close. It was like almost an involuntary thing. Like, just the pain was there and the irritation, and so I was doing my, it was probably like one of the more stupid things I would do, but it's like, I don't know, when I want to go and take care of my, indoors it's okay. I'd still be a little bit like miserable, but at least I could get my work done. But driving was a real wreck at times. Not a real wreck, just it felt like a wreck. But anyway, hoping that this situation with these contacts takes the whatever contribution wearing like nearly a month old contacts that had built up, whatever was built up on them, taking that out of the equation. I'm hoping that means that going forward that this is fixed, and at some point I do need to have a surgery to repair the lower eyelids. I don't mind like doing a little removal of these with just a mirror and tweezers and stuff, but ultimately, it would probably be smart for me to do that. But anyway, so what have I been doing? I've done a couple videos about golf. I don't want to really talk maybe I'll talk at the end about the golf tour. I know some of you guys that have commented are probably the most aware or interested of that, the Tenacious golf tour, if that's a possibility. You know, sometimes I feel like doing videos, you know, making videos about projects that I have on the tabletop are, you know, I'm mostly just talking about things that, you know, I'm the one that's most in. I mean, I am the one that's probably most in tune with them, but I'm hoping that others are interested. I'm trying to have fun with it, I guess. I think all of you want to have fun. I don't know, maybe you want or enjoy seeing somebody talk about it, have fun. Maybe you want to say, oh boy, look at that crazy dude. He's wearing a Mountain Dew t-shirt and is talking about fictional golf leagues or you know, recreations of other types of sporting events. But some of you who are commenting here also have your own channels and do that, so I can take some solace that I'm not the only one. But it seems to have done a pretty decent job of bringing people together, I hope. I think this channel and many others have helped to align a lot of the you know, the various people and groups and leagues and things like that are being done. And I don't know, it's easy sometimes to get discouraged about certain things because you know, when you start making videos, you start looking at things like views and subscribers, and you know, I just I guess I'm just at a point where I just want to try and have fun making videos and hopefully making some content. I don't know if game content's what people are looking for mostly. I think there's some people who probably want stuff that's like a tutorial. Other people are interested in hearing play-by-play to keep them kind of like a background noise sort of thing in the midst of their own gaming, / maybe there is some attention paid to it. I think I think it's just a vast array, and so I'll keep doing it. You know, just feel free to comment if there's anything that like really strikes home with you about what I just threw out there as I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm saying, but this has been going probably 5 years at this point, probably more than 5 years. So all right. Well, Kevin and Brandon, yeah, that's kind of the place that I really need to get to, is to figure out you know, just to figure out that I need to stop being quite as analytical as my mind will kind of hamstring me into being. Like, I mean, I feel like it's probably tough to be the type of person that gets into stuff like this without being a little bit on the over analytical, over manage, over stress, and maybe through all of that under enjoy things. So yeah, it'd be nice to maybe finally break myself of some of that and just and I have to agree to an extent. Like when I started this channel, and for a lot of the time, even when I was over posting stuff with Tabletop Earl, a lot of it was just let's just throw it out there. Let's just not think about it too. Let's just have fun with it, because there are people that are watching, maybe 10, maybe 100, maybe more, I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about it because it's fun. And yeah, I mean, Mountain Dew, I rarely drink a regular Mountain Dew. Actually, one of the few things that I will do at times that's a change from, if I'm on the road and I go to a convenience store that has like a fountain that has both has Mountain Dew. Anyone that has Pepsi has Mountain Dew usually, but also diet. I'll tend to do like a 50-50 mix, so it kind of like gives a little bit of each, and it kind of like gives enough of the flavor of the Mountain Dew, and it's cutting it in half, right? So, but anyway, all right. So the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been completing week 4 of this EPL project. I've called it the Alternative Premier League. The year is 2020 to 2021. So this is basically where they started up right after the pandemic. So obviously we had the pandemic March 2020, and it took them a long time to get to the point. I mean, you remember the NFL in 2020. They were playing to empty stadiums. Soccer was similar. I think they started, I think, 2020 to 2021 a little late, because they ended up having to finish the 2019 to 2020. So, I mean, the European soccer leagues run their schedule from like August to May. So they had this March through May segment of their fixture list. That's what they call a schedule. That was that had been postponed, and so I think at the end of the summer they had started to crank in some of that, and so then I think they got that all completed, and then went straight into the next season around like maybe middle of September or so. I don't know that for a fact. But that's so that's the season I'm doing, is like that follow-up season from the pandemic, where it's like 2020 to 2021. I think so. We're currently in the 2022 to 2023 season, and I think this is going to feel a little bit similar in ways to that other season, because we have a World Cup that's going to be happening, I think, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because it's in Qatar, and they're going to do these things. They wanted to put it into the winter months so that it wouldn't be like 120. And I assume they're going to play them at night, so that way it's during the day here and stuff like that. But also at night to try and keep it from being too hot. So they're going to be condensing the schedule some on both ends, kind of like when the NHL does the Olympics, or used to send their players to the Olympics. They'd have to like crunch their season at the front and the back end to create like 2 or 3 weeks of like an empty, like a break, so that the players could go and play in the Olympics. So hi there, ID Jester. Good to see you. Things are not too bad. Kevin's going to go play some strat football. So that's something that I've been thinking about getting back to. That'll be another thing that I talk about here in a minute. But let's go over here to this other screen. Sorry if this is like jumping a little bit. Again, my laptop, I need a real upgrade of this thing, or just, I mean, the other thing I could do is buy some new, just upgrade the RAM. Probably would help to an extent, but I don't even know if that would truly be that helpful. I feel like I probably downloaded something onto this that ended up sitting in my processor and eating up resources. So this is the fixtures from week 4. So just to go through, Leeds United has started really well. In the current 2022 to 2023 season, Leeds has a former Major League Soccer player named Brendan Aronson that played with the Philadelphia Union, who is, I think it's making a lot of American fans. He just had his first goal, I think, last weekend for that year. But anyway, this is 2 years before he shows up. But they beat Leicester City at home, so 2-1 was the score. Liverpool kicked the snot out of the Blades, Sheffield United. Everton lost at home to the Magpies. That was a 3-0. Let me see. Get my little book here, and that way I can walk you through anything of particular interest, if I can find it. Everton, Newcastle. Joelinton scored in the first 3 minutes of the game, and then a penalty that Callum Wilson converted in the 30th minute, and then John Joe Shelby made it 3-0. And so, yeah, pretty much dominated by Newcastle United. They go to 2-0-1. So, or no, they would go to 3-0-1. So they're up there near the top of the table. Manchester United defeats potential relegation candidate Burnley. They go to, that's Burnley's 4th loss. So being at home at Turf Moor didn't do much good. Aston Villa has opened up with 4 victories in a row, and or no, not 4 victories in a row. That will be 3 victories and a draw. So a good start for the Villains. There's that. The Hammers go on the road, London Derby, and take out Arsenal. This is not such a great season for Arsenal. I mean, I think they definitely finished top 10, but sort of like retooling a little bit in this season. Wolves maybe get a surprise victory at Southampton. Wolves aren't too bad. Southampton, they're both mid-table teams, but let's see. Who got the goal? Adama Traore scored, fed by Nelson Semedo. So, and that was in stoppage time. So that was a late winner. Let's see. So Wolves stole the ball, advanced it, played a cross in just outside the area. They won that. It was taken down by Traore, and he throttled it and evaded McCarthy's outstretched arms for the victory. So Wolves, that was their first victory, so they're 1-1-2. So that's what, 4 points. the City side of both sides of Manchester get victories, and they're both 2-0 victories. City wins at home at the Etihad, 2-0 over the Baggies of West Brom. This is a team that's going to go down most likely. Chelsea, another London derby, goes to Selhurst and throttles Crystal Palace 3-0. Let's see who got the goals there. Timo Werner got 2. Kai Havertz also picked up 1. And then the last match, Tottenham came in 3-0, 3-0-0, so 3 wins, and they were going up against Brighton and Hove Albion, who are lower half, maybe gonna battle relegation. And Brighton got a lead in, let's see, where was it? There we go, 19th minute. It was an own goal. So it's a special result. Really wacky. It's 66 on the special results. So you have to do a loose ball result to get the team who benefits from the own goal, and it was Brighton. And then Tottenham, they played well. They had 16 shots to 6 for Brighton, but only 3 of the 16 ended up on target, and all of them were by Harry Kane, and all of them were saved by Ricardo Sanchez. So in theory, 2 clean sheets, although not exactly. Lloris had one go off his defenders. It was Højbjerg. So that's that, and this is how the table is stacking up. So Villa, Liverpool, and Leeds United all are 3 wins, 1 draw, no losses for 10 points. So based on goal differential, Aston Villa currently in the lead, but I wouldn't say they're. Let's see, who have they faced so far? Week 1, they played Sheffield United, a weak team. Week 2, Chelsea, that was a good draw on the road. Played them tough. Beat Burnley, that's again a weak team, and then Fulham. So they've had they've got 3 victories against relegation candidates, and then the draw against Chelsea. So not a bad start for them. Liverpool, they killed Sheffield United, another one there. That's they beat Arsenal on the road 4-3. That was a pretty exciting affair. They beat Newcastle United. It's a mid-table club. They've got some good players, good scorers there. And then week 1, they drew West Ham. So, not too bad for them. And let's go with Leeds. They beat Leicester City. Leicester City is a formidable opponent, usually somewhere between 9 and 12. So in the rankings. So that's where we'll go with that. And then let's see. We're talking about Leeds. They beat Manchester City. So that is a feather in their caps, for sure. And that was on the road as well. So City's one real blemish was losing to Leeds. Although, Leeds is a big town, right? Leeds is a pretty decent-sized city in England. So they're a team with some history. They had been not so great in recent years, but maybe this is the type of situation with them that they're starting to build towards something. They beat West Brom again. That's another team that's going to be most likely be relegated. And then Leeds, they drew, so they're a draw with Fulham. So that's not a very good result at home. So, and then you have Manchester City, Tottenham, Leicester, Newcastle, Manchester United, all on 9 points, more or less tied for 4th. So your relegation places right now: Fulham, Burnley, Sheffield United. So yeah. else I wanted to discuss? Okay. Yeah. Let's bring up the old goof. If I can. You got everything now. I don't know. I found this like indie playlist. I don't know. Some of my music listening habits are really weird, and I get on to certain I get onto a newer band, and it really doesn't make much sense why I like it, but Foster the People is one that I started listening to a while back. And then then I started getting some other bands filtering in from that, and it's brought me to liking bands like Arcade Fire and some other really kind of like weird. It's just different than, I really like the yacht rock Steely Dan type stuff, but anyway. I should have brought this up ahead of time, huh? Life comes at you fast. You can't even see my face. Probably for the better. Okay. So, I was saying I was thinking about getting back into the Strat football. I haven't played that in a long, long time, and I had this whole... I'm going to stand up here for a second. Like an application built in Sheets where I could track all the stats and everything, kind of like a game log and defensive coordinator and all this stuff, and I kind of feel like I'm so out of touch with it that I'm struggling to get back to it, but I kind of want to because it's football season, right? And I wanted to get finished. I kind of like leaving certain projects like this at soccer one being like a completed match week or whatever. So, that's kind of where I'm standing with it right now. So, we are at, we're at week, tournament 27 out of 30 for the TGT. So, there's that. It's weird because I feel like in recent weeks when we've seen the PGA Tour relent in some of this stuff with the LIV Tour to the point now where it's almost like what they're going to is very much similar if I'm, when you scale it to what I'm doing here. It's really weird because you're gonna have a preponderance of players playing in these big tourneys. They're gonna have like 20 of them, and they're really getting the best players to commit to those. And so I don't know what's going to happen to the other. I mean, they've got another 25 tournaments that are lesser, but those are going to be like the C tier, and that's what we've been doing here. Like I have the Appalachian Hootenanny coming up out in West Virginia, and all of the married cousins are really looking forward to this particular event. They went to the Slacker Tour event there a few years ago and had some kids, and they're pretty impressed with the offspring that came from that. So they want to make some more, and so they're going to go to this. But again, it's a C tier tournament, so where you can see the C is over here. This B is, I really should just hide it because it's something. It's basically how I was going to cover it on the channel. But I'm I haven't really been following that nearly as much as I'd wanted to. But it's a C tier, which basically means only a couple of the top 50 or 100 get in, or that they decide to play in it. So it ends up being very much like a back marker leaderboard. So in some ways it's fun. In other ways, because I do this Corn Ferry knockoff slacker tour, there are a lot of players that kind of like end up in both types of tournaments. So it kind of feels like it's not worth doing the slacker, which is why I'm going to probably be ending it after this season. I'll do the TGT, might even expand it. I think I was going to expand it to either 32 or 34 tournaments and cut out the 12 tournament slacker tour, just to cut down on my workload when it comes to doing the golf. And since it's already kind of like the fields are sometimes cross-pollinating. Speaking of cross-pollination, it's kind of like being in West Virginia, we can talk about that some more. But then we go to these bigger tournaments: Blues Belt, Georgia Open. I don't do the playoff like what's finishing up this weekend for the PGA Tour. I got rid of that because I think it feels a bit contrived, and I don't know. I feel like my tabletop is mature and can handle a straight money list and doesn't need any like tricks and like handicapped leaderboards and things like that. We can live with it. We don't need we don't need runners starting at second base in the 10th inning and stuff. But the money list. I guess we should show you that. I have to go to a different. I had to split this out into a stats table because it was slowing the heck out of my like schedule table and stuff. So money leaders: Trent McAdams. One thing I feel like I'd like you to kind of like take a look at and pay attention to is the events played for these players. Hopefully it shows up for you okay. I know it's a little small on my screen because I have it just the way I have it set up here, but what do we have? 30. We want to have 15 events. Is kind of like, especially for the top golfers, that's kind of like the gold standard, is around 15, 16 events. And we're going to hit that here for most of these guys. A couple of them have 16 already. They're going to end up at 18 or 19. So this little like player usage thing has worked out pretty well. We have the top 3 golfers only played in 12 events. I think that looks pretty reasonable. Like, let's say we were within 5 events of the tour being complete in the PGA Tour, so that would be around 40 events. That means they would have played about 20, and we're talking about like the PGA tends to have 20 to 22 for their top players, are kind of like that's where they end up playing. So how much? So McAdams, Leonard, Wallace, Emmerich is still there. He's only won 1 tournament, but he's been in the top 10 in 10 of his 13 events. So you just see he shows up on the leaderboard a lot. He's still plenty consequential. He just hasn't had the dominant. His card is different, right? We've got a whole different set of traits for him. So that's something that's happened. Aberley has won an event. We have a lot of first-time winners, it's become a lot more diverse here because, like I said, we're doing these C-tier tournaments where you have very few of the front runners. So it's opened it up for guys like Leon Bay, who's played at 19 events. He's played in a lot of events, but he finally did win one, and he's finished in the top 10 4 times. So a good year for him. He's in the top 10, right, of the money. But guys like Marshall Weber, Denny Rowetter. And I mean, you guys have seen Dwayne Bradshaw. You've seen all of these. Kenji Morita, Ernest Kamalo, Sangram Sangster, the most recent one, the Thai golfer, won. So they played in a lot of events, some of these guys. But part of the reason is that it's done with random numbers, and so sometimes the random numbers hit certain guys more than others. But the point leaders, pretty similar. I don't think there's any difference there. Scoring leaders can be a little different, but Emmerich is a little better with that. He's played a couple more rounds than McAdams, but and Leonard, but has overall a better average. So, but yeah, back to this. We'll be doing. I thought about doing the Hootenanny this weekend, and just I wanted to get through the soccer week, and my understanding is that the Pro National Golf set, which feeds this tour, will be out towards the end of 2022. So I need to get this wrapped up in the next few weeks. So that's 4 tournaments, and I have some slackers to deal with as well. So I'll get there eventually, but maybe I'll have some extra time here now that my eyes are feeling better to be able to plug some things in here and do some football as well as the golf. So be on the lookout for that. What I might end up doing is, you know, I might end up just kind of like doing some stuff and recording it and then posting after some edits, and just not live stream it. We'll see. I would definitely live stream the final tournament or two, but with the stuff that I have going on, sometimes it's just better to record a bit, leave it on the tabletop, come back, do it again later, just so that way it gets I mean, that way the video gets made, right? If I don't have a 3-hour window or a 2-hour window or whatever it is to kind of like do the whole tournament, I'm not going to record the whole tournament most likely, but maybe I want to have that in order, you know, it's just, I don't know, I just need to find better ways to do it. So you know what, let's go back here to the browser window for one more thing. I haven't really dug into this much lately. I was talking about it earlier. Advanced Open League Football. This is what I've left. So I haven't updated. It's almost been a year since I played it, right? League Master stats compiling. So let's see. So if you recall, this was the way I was doing. I had things kind of like split up into based on and boy, this is probably not the best format to show you. Let's see. Maybe the League Master is. Yeah, here we go. So I took the top 6 teams from the 2017 Stratomatic football set, and so it's the Rams, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Saints, the Eagles, and the Steelers. So those are the top division. The Grant division is Division 2. That's the Falcons, the Bills, the Panthers, the Jags, the Chiefs, the Titans, and then all the other teams were split into 4 divisions of 5 each, and they're mostly regional. So I tried to kind of put them into a geographic region. So like Corey, and they're all given names of coaches that I think are were good but not good enough that they ever won a title. So, kind of like giving them some exposure, even though they hadn't gotten to the point where they actually won a title. The top one, because I am a Bills fan, Marv Levy division. The Bud Grant division is Division II. The great Vikings coach went to those guys both went to 4 Super Bowls. Then you had Don Coryell. He's in the West because he was with the Chargers, right? And the Chargers are in that division, along with Arizona, Oakland, now Las Vegas, but then Oakland Raiders, 49ers, and Seahawks. Then the Schottenheimer League, you could argue he was with a couple different teams, and maybe the best thing, I think this was the best choice because he went the farthest with Cleveland, and so this is kind of like the North, but it's split up a little bit with the AFC and NFC, so these are not single conference, right? It's like the Bears, the Browns, the Broncos. This is one thing where we had to kind of like, okay, I had a lot of teams from the West. What am I going to do? Well, I moved Denver into this as kind of like a northern division along with Detroit and Green Bay. And I do think... So then I went with the Reeves League, which is more like a South division. Thinking of his time mostly with the Falcons, but definitely he spent a lot of time with Denver and had a lot of success there too. So for that particular league, I could have gone with either of those guys. But just got to make a choice, right? So I chose this, and Bengals, Cowboys, Texans, Colts, and Buccaneers, and then Buccaneers pre-Brady. So, and then the Knox League, which was Chuck Knox, and I put him in the East mostly because he spent time with the Bills in the late 70s, and I enjoyed him as a coach. During that time, he had the Bermuda Triangle defense and Joe Ferguson, Joe Cribbs. But he also had some success with the Seattle Seahawks as well, but just never really had the overall success needed for eternal greatness. I just ignored, there are lots of coaches like, the Chuck Knowles, Tom Landry's, Bill Walsh, Jimmy Johnson, guys that definitely won. Joe Gibbs won multiple Super Bowls. I wanted this to be kind of like the guys who maybe get forgotten in history because they just didn't end up having the success. So that Knox League is the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Jets, and the Skins. So, and the thought was there'd be promotion and relegation out of these leagues for the next time, but again, I kind of got bogged down in it and didn't get back to it, but I might be doing that here soon. I kind of miss it. So anyway, always stuff to do, always a lot of things to take care of here on the tabletop, and again, with kind of like a 6-month span here where I don't feel like I was the most productive I could have been. But I've also done some things like learned app baseball. So it hasn't been like completely lost. It's just I've just taken a little more time to smell the roses, I feel like. And I hope you guys all do that as well. If there's anything that I feel like I've learned from this pandemic is that, we have a finite time here on this earth, and there was some point where being less than 50, I guess I decided that I didn't want to lose too much of the time that I have left, because especially I had a close family member who had a heart attack recently, and that's younger than me, and I want to experience this world before it's over, and there's more to this. There's more to life than just this world. You know, I'm definitely a believer, but you know, with family and friends, and there's a lot to see in this world. You know, I'm gonna try to do my best to enjoy it all, right? And some of it's gonna be enjoying this. I want to make sure that when I'm doing this, that I'm enjoying it. Too many times, you know, everybody remembers the Phillies replay, and there was a lot of enjoyment during that. There was also some frustration. Maybe the frustration made the joy that was felt better. Maybe not. Maybe it was not worth it. But anyway, I think the last 2.5 years have just been such a how do I want to put it? Such a foreign feeling, right? I mean, we got into like 2018, 2019, and I think the last thing on any of our minds was going to be, oh, we'd have some kind of disease come up that would more or less change our lives, like 100%. Like, I never thought that we would end up having a situation where we had to stay home, not go to work for like some of us now for years. I've been going back. I went back after like a month and a half, but some of us it's been like, some people are still working from home full time that didn't before this, you know. So it's like our lives were completely reformatted. It's like they took it, put it in the computer, it said, like, this disk is unreadable, you need to reformat it. It's like, okay, we're going to do things all different. And it's you know, it's not all bad, but it's also not all good either, right? But you know, you have to roll the punches. You have to, getting a dog here in the last few weeks and having to basically house break it and stuff. It's been rewarding in a lot of ways. It's also had its challenges, but so this dog. So we put on. I don't know. The other day I put on this show called, I think it's Dr. Jeff's Rocky Mountain, whatever, vet or something like that. And the dog, like, is fixated on it. She'll watch the big TV screen, and there's like dogs and cats and stuff, and she's like, oh. Anyway. But there's a gal who came in with her like support dog or whatever, who had been dealing with pretty serious disease, and you know, I think the doctor himself had gone through something similar, and he was just like, you know, my approach is just going to fight it, you know. So I think she drew inspiration from him, and that's kind of like the way I feel like it. Like this stuff for the last 2.5 years. Just got to find the way to make the best of every moment, and it's not easy because it's not really my nature to do it, but I'm going to try. So, and you know, maybe I'm partly saying that because ID Gesture was here in the chat at one point, and I know he's going through some stuff, but you know, we all have to look at those around us who deal with adversity and find ways to support those people, but also you know, learn from them. You know, let them be an example of you know, because a lot of them are super courageous, and you know, just don't let things get them down. And in my life, I have periods of time where I just let certain things get me down, and that's not to say that those people, you know, I had you know, I lost a friend last summer to cancer, and like he definitely tried like heck to not let it get him down, but there were times when I know it did. But the vast majority didn't, and he was out doing um, like kind of like virtual triathlons. He had to lose both of his legs to try and save his life, but he had prosthetics, and he went for it. He was a pretty fit guy. He had done crew in college, and so he definitely was well trained, even up to the point where he started having these issues that just, this disease that just decimated him over the course of the time. But he would still just constantly be at it, constantly the will of a fighter. And I'm doing the best I can to just keep, but we all have those times, right? Work, family. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm kind of rambling on now, but anyway, just any of you having issues, I just, I'll pray for all of you. I'll send my best wishes. Just I hope this can at least be a little bit of something to feed off of. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be thought of as like any sort of inspiring figure. I mean, I would rather have you think of my friend Evan, who is the, so that would be better. Because I sit and whine too much myself. But I thank all of you for anybody who's watched one of these videos, who's left a comment. I try to answer as many of them as I can. Sometimes I'm not sure how to answer, but just these games have been something that gives me some purpose for myself when I felt like things were not so purposeful. But anyway, I'm gonna keep playing them, and I'm sure you guys will as well. And just hope that you all have a great close out here to August, and looking towards the old month of September. We got football, we got baseball that wraps up, and it's just a kind of a nice time of year as the temperatures start to come down from their upper reaches, and it just the years keep passing, don't they? Anyway, thanks for stopping by, all of you who at the very least popped in. If you've been here all this time, thanks for listening to this. Kevin Thomas, ID Jester, Brandon, Tim, Larry. Did I miss anybody? I think that's everybody. Yeah, I hope Sunday's been good for you. I hope you have a great week. I'll try to get some content up here again very soon. Now that my eye situation's sorted out, I'm feeling like 10 times better, and so hopefully that will make this a little bit easier to deal with and to take care of things. Just and again, just want to try and keep a smile on my face, and hopefully make some stuff that entertains you guys. And anyway, we'll see. Thanks a lot, and I'm gonna sign off for now. Hang in there.